Hello. You all right? I was just thinking 1971 was a very important year for me. 1971, I was in my final year at Shenston College, Bromsgrove, training to be a teacher. I'd done my final teaching practice at Tividale Comprehensive School, you know, the one along the Birmingham New Road. I got married in the July to Annie, and then in the September I started my first job. I was doing music and English at a little school, a secondary school, St Michael's Church of England School, Langley, along the Birmingham New Road. Just as you get to the Hen and Chickens, just before, turn left and it's down there. Next to Albright and Wilson, that smelly, smelly chemical factory. And of course I was in my probationary year. And when you're in your probationary year, your first year, they send out an inspector to see if you're doing all right. Well, I remember it well. It was a Monday morning. And when you're a probationary teacher, you get the worst classes. So I had like 14Z. And on this Monday morning, 9:30, I was trying to teach them about religious education. And we were doing the Israelites coming back from Egypt. And we just got to the Battle of Jericho. So there I was in the middle of all this. And in this posh inspector walks. And his name, funny enough, was Death, but he pronounced it Death. And my name is Death. Looks like death, but it's pronounced Death. Well, there I was teaching away, and you could tell most of these, they was nearly asleep, these kids. As we used to say, they was barely warm, and most of them had been up about 6 o'clock to do the paper rounds. So they was dozing gently away, and I was droning on, and this bloke, Mr. Dearth, was wandering around. And he said, I'm going to ask the class some questions. I'm going to ask that boy there. Well, that boy there was probably the worst in the class. His name was Tyrone. So he went up to this lad, and he prodded him on the shoulder to wake him up. And he said, You boy! Who knocked down the walls of Jericho? And the lad straight away said, It wasn't me. I'd do it. I know nothing about it. Well, you could tell he wasn't happy. He come up to me. He said, Mr. Darby, I've just asked that boy over there who knocked down the walls of Jericho. And he said it wasn't him. He said he didn't do it. He didn't see it. It just wasn't him. What have you got to say about that? Well, I decided to go with black country sense of humour, so I said, well, he's an honest lad. He looks a bit rough, he's Tyrone, but he comes from an honest family, and if he said he'd do it, he'd do it. Well, he wore happy, this bloke, this Mr. Dayoth. He stormed out my classroom. He went straight to the headmaster's office, which was next door, and he spoke to H.B. Davis, Harley B, as in pencil, H.B., and he said, I've just been in Mr. Darby's class. I asked a boy who knocked down the walls of Jericho, and he said it wasn't him. What have you got to say? And H.B. Davis, the headmaster, said, Well, Mr. Darby ain't been with us long, but he's a good teacher, and if he said the lad they do it, the lad they do it. Well, Mr. Dayoth was not very happy with that either. He stormed out of the school, got in his little car, and went off to the head education offices in Cape Hill, Smerick. And he went in and he spoke to the chief education officer, and he said, I've just been to St Michael's School, Langley. Very smelly it was. And I asked a boy in Mr. Darby's class who knocked down the walls of Jericho, and he said it wasn't him. I then asked Mr. Darby about the incident, and he said the boy was an honest lad, and if he said he didn't do it, then he didn't do it. I then went to the headmaster, and I said, Headmaster, I've just asked a boy who knocked down the walls of Jericho, and he said he didn't do it. And Mr. Darby said he's an honest lad, and if he said he didn't do it, then he didn't do it, and I'm not very happy about this. And the chief education officer said, Shh, keep it quiet. We'll send 2 brickies round in the morning to put them up again, and nobody'll know the difference. Shut up. Shh. Right, I must go. I've got to go and collect my pays for the Sunday dinner. So I'll see you in a bit. All right. Ta-ra a bit. Mind how you go. And thank you, Mother, for the palings. And make sure you keep out that Oss Road, will you? Ta-ra a bit.